Oh, hello. As you can see, Lenin lived here, and here is here, which is in Bloomsbury and Tavistock Place. And this building here was where Express Dairy had their main offices up until the early 1970s, and there was a dairy behind it as well. So this is just the start of a small video, which I'm just going to take you to another bit of Bloomsbury, following up from a previous video that I've done, which I didn't take in something that was notable. So we're now about to go on to Marchmont Street. And Marchmont Street has lots of nice shops and eating places. It's very, I would say it's pretty much the heart of Bloomsbury, but of course I could be wrong. I've done a previous video in which I looked at all the blue plaques down here, or most of them. So the thing that I'm actually going to be looking at on this video is the building you can see looming in the distance, which is the Brunswick Centre, which was completed in the early 1970s, and much like some of the buildings the University of London has, like Dennis Lasdon, it's brutalism, concrete brutalism, and it's possibly one of the best examples in central London, from the Barbican Centre, that could be summed up as brutalist. So this is one side of it, and it has the entrance into the shopping centre. I'm going to walk around this side of it, which is a bit quieter, but is also where I find a particularly good bookshop, which is called Scoob Books. So this is Scoob, and you go downstairs, and there are loads and loads of second-hand books of very good quality and selection, and well worth having a look at. Also, what we have here is Waitrose. That's Waitrose. And then we just walk around the outside. You get a good view of the mega structure, because that's really what Brunswick Centre is. It's a mega structure. It's one big lump. It's got accommodation above it, so there's flats, and then it's got retail space and other mixed uses at the bottom. It sits in dramatic contrast to everything else around it, which is sort of Victorian and Edwardian. And I'm sure that when it was constructed, it must have upset an awful lot of people. But as time goes on, these things become accepted in their own rights. So these big towers will almost certainly be service towers. They will have things like other water, maybe water tanks atop there, or lift gear. But there's no one living inside them. So this is another aspect. You're literally walking around the outside of it. I've always liked these bits here, which is obviously down the bottom there will probably be vents or something. There's a car park underneath it. So it's a typical piece of, well, the design almost certainly was probably from the late 60s, but you've got a car park underneath it, with service bays, etc., and then you've got the retail space and then the accommodation above it. So it's a typical big idea from the 60s, which then got built in the 70s. So you can see down here, that is an exit point for the car park. And over there is Brunswick Square. That's just sort of partly why it's called the Brunswick Centre. So it's all very concrete. So here we go, so watch this, you've got that, which are holes, and that, which are raised areas. It's like a repeat pattern. There's lots of nice detailing if you're into that sort of thing. If you're not, then I suppose you think it's probably horrible. And there's not much I can do about that. Can I get through there?
Yeah, you can go around that way.
That way? Lovely, thank you.
Falling down there, mate.
Cheers.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you. They're doing some maintenance work. There we go. This is probably my favourite aspect of this building. So I'm going to be very careful because there's steps down here. They're not easy if you're not concentrating. But this is my favourite aspect of it because you see some, like these are the entrances into flats on the levels above the ground. But also you have the cinema, which is the Curzon Cinema. And I think there's been a cinema on this site pretty much since it was built. Doggy Day is back, whoop-de-doo. So the Brunswick Centre really sort of comes into its own in the summer months because, well, it's just more forgiving. In the winter, I think people just don't want anyone hanging around in open spaces where they're exposed to the weather. So that's that bit there, and then what I'll do is I'll come round. So over this way, in the distance is Coram Fields. So you can see the sign that says Brunswick Square. Wow, look at that. Someone's really into their Action Man collection over there. Look at that. Wow. All sorts of action figures in the window. Someone's home. Right. So down here is Russell Square Underground Station. There's got lots of nice detailing here. So this is one really for people who like brutalism.
I could beat you with 2 fingers, how about that?
It's a big expanse of concrete. Unfortunately, it's not worn that well in some places, as you can see. So here, you can see that is the steelwork being exposed, and then it's fractured off, probably to do with cold weather. It's flaked away, so it's an aggregate. Underneath this skimmed finish is an aggregate. Now, the businesses that are in the Brunswick Centre have changed hands loads of times. Someone I used to work with, who worked locally back in the 70s and 80s, told me there used to be a nightclub here, I think where the Leon is. There was some kind of nightclub which I think was called Blitz's or something. It wasn't the Blitz Club, but it was something like Blitz's or Ritz's. So this is like an open entrance in. Now there's a Roman Polanski film from the mid-70s starring Jack Nicholson, which I can't remember what it's called now. That's better. And that shows the Brunswick Centre pretty much as it was when it was completed, and it's very different because there used to be all these sort of awnings and stuff weren't there. Shops would have been very different. I mean, where the Waitrose is, that was originally a Safeways supermarket, and Safeways is a supermarket brand that's long since bitten the dust. But it's all very prettified, but it was never like this when it first opened. It was big open spaces with not an awful lot going on. There were staircases that used to take you off this ground level into these sort of patio areas, for want of a better word. But they've gone, they've been taken away, presumably for safety reasons. So you can see all these different shops that are down here. There's another bookshop which is a relatively new addition, Brunswick Bookshop, Independent Booksellers. And then all these eating places. There's loads of eating places, loads of places have opened up. A lot of them is just really serving the student population, because the University of London and University College London nearby, so an awful lot of people using this are in fact actually students as well as office workers, but mainly students, and students who can obviously eat out. Being a student isn't like the young ones anymore, presumably. So yes, that is the Brunswick Centre, and as you can see, it is quite an impressive megastructure with a Waitrose in it. So this will be me signing off, because I've got to go into Waitrose, but there you go. So thank you for watching, hope it was interesting, and if it wasn't, I'm terribly sorry.